You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 4th day of August, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We're going to do things a little different today. Michael's going to come on first. Normally he joins us at the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern. But he's going to come on first, give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Do a little live trading on the TradingView platform, and then I'll come back and we'll go through our entire daily broadcast as we normally do. So stand by, and Michael will be here in just a second. He's not here yet, but he will be. Stand by. To become a member, send an email to support@cfrn.net. In the email, just let us know you want to become a member, passport holder. Valerie will send you an email that explains everything it means to become a member. She'll provide you with a link that you can click, make your payment, and become a passport holder with access to absolutely everything. Not just the live training room in the morning, but everything. Weekly trading zones, Logic 247 alerts, concierge trade alerts, you name it. If we got it, it's all yours once you become a passport holder. Just send your email to support@cfrn.net. If you happen to be a veteran, let us know that you're a veteran, and we will provide you a link that has a veteran discount built in. Still waiting on Michael. And here he comes.
Okay.
And he's here. All right. We're ready for you.
All right. Let me just change my name. And I'll switch it over here.
All right, looks good.
Excellent. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 4th day of August, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial, let's go here to mytradingiq.com and click on this button right here. All right. Go to mytradingiq.com and click on this button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill out the form. Down at the bottom, make sure you give us your TradingView login ID. All right. We don't have a whole lot of indicators that we use, but they are on TradingView. If you don't have a TradingView login ID, click on this right here, and you will be able to go get your TradingView login ID. It'll bring you to this page. Just watch this video. It's 3 minutes long. Click on this link and go get your free TradingView login ID. Now, the thing that's not free when you do that is real-time data. Real-time data is $7 a month, I believe is what it is still right now. Not sure about that, but it's pretty close to $7 a month. You're going to have to get real-time data if you want to follow along with your charts and have them look exactly like ours, okay? So today was a struggle. We did get the goal for the day on the very first trade, and if we could have quit then, that would have been the thing to do, because we took another 31 trades and never got back to where we were after that first trade. Actually, we were pretty good at one point, but we ended up giving it all back and then some. So it was a little rough trading today. We ended up with minus 48 on the NQ. When was the last time we were minus on the NQ? I guess we were minus one day last month too. Yeah, we're only up $5 on that day. We're minus 31 on the day, but we ended up with minus 48 on the NQ, minus 25 on the Russell, minus 3 on gold, and plus 36 on the ES. But today it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $1,200, and took a total of 32 trades. So this 55 after 1 minute in the very first trade was a 120. It took 31 more trades to only give back, what is that, $75 in there? Something like that. Or $65. Anyway, that's where we were on the morning session. So on the month now, we're at $1,492 over 2 days, averaging $746. On the year, we're at $174,587 over 132 days, averaging $1,322 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Following the 2420 blueprint, because we did everything in 1 minute, one trade this morning, this number actually went up quite a bit. I don't know if you remember on Thursday last week, it was below 5,000. But a couple of good days in a row, a couple of quick days in a row, brought it right back up. So far this year, we've only had to work 17.26 hours for the 2420, and we'd be up $88,452 trading 8 contracts right now. Okay. All right. So let's get into the actual trades. Now, on the gold, we were doing pretty well on gold. No, we were never good on gold. We were doing pretty well, and we gave it back. The NQ, yeah, we're way off the high for the day on the NQ. On the gold, we were actually never positive. We ended with the high of the day with minus 9 on the gold. But we'll go back to the beginning. Our first trade on gold was right here. We stopped out. Minus 15 ticks. We had a break even there, a break even there. We got 1 tick there to get us to 14, and then we got 5 ticks over here to get us to 9. This was where we ended trading this morning. This was our last trade of the session, and we got it just to 9. You can see during the break, there was nothing happening here during the break. This right here would have been the only trade during the break, I think. Is that right? Nope, this would have been a good trade, and this would have been a good trade. So you had 2 profitable trades during the break. Is that right? Was it 3? Nope, just 2 profitable trades during the break. No stop outs, but 2 profitable trades. And that was gold. Now we'll go into the Russell. We'll go into the Russell. We had a break even there. We had a plus 10. That was as high as we got on the Russell. We got the plus 10 right there. And then we stopped out, put us at minus 5. We had a break even, another break even, another break even. Now, every one of those break evens went 5 ticks into profit. So we had at least 20 ticks in profit between those 4 break evens. And then we stopped out on this. That put us down to minus 5. Then I made a mistake here, stopped out on that. Should have gone to break even. That put us down to minus 20. Then there's a stop out missing in here. That put us down to minus 35. And then we went from minus 35 with this one right here, went from minus 35 to minus 25. I stopped keeping track of the NQ apparently. I mean, the Russell apparently, because went from, we have 3 wins right here, and I only show us having 2 wins. And I don't show the stop out on my, I'm going to show the stop out on my page, but I don't show the wins on my page. But anyway, so we stopped out somewhere in here, probably right here. Right? Because that was a stop out. That put us at minus 5. That was a stop out, put us at minus 20. Then we had another stop out, put us at minus 35. Then we had a plus 10 that got us to minus 25. And then we had these 2 trades in here that I didn't write down. I don't know what they ended up being. And that probably would have gotten us a lot closer to being positive on the day if I could keep track of those trades. I guess I can go back and look at them. And then we get into the break right here. And during the break, looks like there was one trade right here that would have been a break even probably for me. And with the conservative trades, that was all there was. Just those couple of trades in there. Okay. We ended up with minus 25. We probably ended up with a we probably ended up with a positive number on the Russell, but I'd have to go back and look and see. But what time were those trades at? Let's just go back and do a little analysis on that. We'll see what time were those trades on the Russell. We'll see if we can figure out. It's one here at 11 and one here at 11:04. You know what? I'm not going to bother with it. I'll come back to that some other time. Not right now. I am running on a crunch schedule anyway. Okay, on the ES, well, I'll get to the ES. Well, yeah, I'll do the NQ first. I'll get to the ES because the ES was our highlight of the day. So I'll do the NQ. The NQ, we were pretty good on the NQ at one point, and then we just had 4 stop outs, as you can see right there. 5 stop outs, 6 stop outs. Yeah, but we were pretty good at one point on the NQ. All right, we started out here on the NQ with plus 24 ticks. This is where we got the goal for the day. We had plus 24 on that one. We had plus 20 on that to get us to 44. Then I feel like I didn't miss any trades in here. No, I didn't miss any trades in here. It was running pretty good, and I didn't miss any of those trades. And then we get all the way over here. I took this one, went from 24 up to 50. I'm sorry, 44 up to 52. So that was an 8 tick. Then we stopped out here. Why do we even take a trade there? That doesn't make sense. Why do we even take a trade there? But I show a stop out, and that brought us from 52 down to 27. Then went from 27 to 43. And then we stopped out and went down to 18. It doesn't make any sense that I took a trade there. But I did. Then we stopped out again. And this one right here, it was a mistake. I should have had my stop at break even. And I stopped out on that. I guess at that point we were at 18. And then we stopped out again, brought us to minus 7. We stopped out again, brought us to minus 32. Did I miss anything in here on the upside? This trade right here, I missed that one on the long. Did I miss anything on the shorts? Nope, I didn't miss anything on the shorts, but I stopped out on both of those. I brought us through at minus 32 at that point. Did I miss anything in here? See, it was whipping around a lot. It was kind of hard to get a handle on. We shorted here. We picked up 4 ticks to bring us to minus 28. Then we picked up 8 ticks to bring us to minus 20. Then we stopped out again, put us at minus 45, and we stopped out again. And this wasn't even a valid trade. I don't know why I did that. It wasn't even a valid trade. We stopped out again. And so this one was minus 45, and this one was minus 70. Then we had a break even there, and nothing there, and nothing there. Minus 70, we had a break even there and a break even there. So those were valid trades, but I didn't get anything on them. And we got picked up 2 ticks there to get us to 68. I think actually we picked up 20 ticks here to get us to minus 48. Somewhere in here we had 2 ticks. Oh, right here we had 2 ticks to get us to minus 68. And that was it. So we ended up with minus 48. After this trade, we were at minus 48 on the NQ this morning. So kind of, we were as high as 52 at one point, and we ended up with minus 48. So we're actually 100 ticks away. So 4 full stop outs away from the high is what we ended up with. And so the numbers work out anyway. The stop outs do is 100 ticks away. Should always be a multiple of 25, I would think. Something like that. Anyway, during the break, let's see. This was a nice trade right there. This would have been a trade right there. That would have stopped out. On the short side, this was a trade right here that would have worked out. This was a trade here that would have worked out. Then this was a trade here that would have worked out to some degree. And that was it on the NQ. All right. So we ended up on the NQ with minus 48. Now I'll do the ES last because the ES is where we made any money today. The only one we made money on. We didn't have that many trades, so not that much to go over. This is pretty much it. There's a trade miss. Oh, there it is right there. Right, on the S, our first trade on the S, we picked up 16 ticks. Then the next trade right here, we picked up 4 to get us to 20. There's a trade missing, unless I don't see it. We went from 20 to 32, so we had 12 ticks there. Then we had 4 ticks to get us to 34. I'm sorry, 2 ticks to get us to 34 and 2 ticks to get us to 36. Oh, here's the other trade right here. Okay, so we had 12 to get to 32, 2 to get to 34, and then 2 more to get to 36. And that was it. That was it. This isn't even a trade right here because it's below the midpoint. Okay, below the midpoint there. So that's not a trade either. And that was it. That's how we ended it for the morning session. Let me bring out the question box and see if anybody has any questions. Or no questions for me in here yet. Okay, so that was it. So now we can try to take a couple of trades if we get an opportunity. The Russell's actually got a trade right here. If I can find my DOM, we can still take it on the long trade here on the Russell. It was this up close right here where it came out of the oversold. This up close right here on the Russell is a long trade. So the actual entry point should have been from right about here at 6.6, but I just entered right now at 6.1. That's got a 15 tick stop on it. The ES. Now, if you're trading aggressively, the ES had a trade right here at the open of this bar right here. Right, if you're trading aggressively, the NQ's got nothing. The aggressive trade means if the background is green and this goes into the oversold, you just buy the open of the next bar. Okay, this needs to get up to 6.6 like that to get the stop to break even. We'll just lock in a couple of ticks here. We'll lock in 5 ticks. Right, with 10 contracts on those 5 ticks, that's $250. It's $5 a tick on the Russell. Okay, $5 a tick on the Russell. So if we get up here to 0.1, that's 350 right there now. $450, 500, and we're out with $500 on the Russell. If you did the aggressive trade here on the ES, it would have been buying right here at 43.50. You'd be way up on that one. With 10 contracts on, it'd be $1,500 right there. This was 500. Okay, it is 12:19, so we have about 11 minutes left, and we are not in the oversold here. All right, so the ES, the aggressive trade, would have given you about $1,500. It did manage to get up into the overbought, so you do have a chance for another trade here on that. I'm on the NQ, we need a down close to get into the oversold, followed by an up close right after that. On the gold, you need a down close to get into the oversold, like that, followed by an up close right now. You could actually be aggressive on the gold because the down close is right here on the midpoint. That's usually pretty good aggressive trade position right there. Okay, and we did not get into the oversold here on the NQ, so that's not a trade. That up close there on the gold is a trade. It is. And we have nothing here on the Russell. All right, on the gold, we're going to book that stop to break even now. I'm locking just a couple of ticks on the gold right now. Okay, we have nothing on the ES, nothing on the NQ, nothing on the Russell. So far we've gotten 10 ticks on the Russell and we're 2 ticks on the gold for a total of $700 right now. All right. We just had a nice run up there on the NQ, so we're in the overbought, but we never made it into the oversold, so we don't have a trade yet. The ES looks like it's going to do the same thing. The gold, we just got 2 ticks out of that. It's not doing anything right now, and the Russell really doesn't have a trade here either, right at the moment. Okay. All right. Well, we don't have anything. We have 6.5 minutes left. 5.5 minutes left. And we'll be looking for trades on. We can look for aggressive trades because it's starting to get choppy here on the ES and on the Russell. So an aggressive trade with a green background would be the blue going into the oversold by itself. You'd buy the open of the next bar. Okay. The leg lengths are too big over here on the NQ for that right now, but they're small enough here on the ES and on the Russell to do that. Right. Does anybody have any questions about that? About all that? Any of that? We just flipped the YBR over here on the gold. We're not in any position to take any kind of a trade on the indices right at the moment. Okay, I want to come out here and look at this really quick and see if we have failed off the midpoint at the BBC yet, and we haven't. Okay, and we're not in the oversold down there. Oh, we are in the oversold. Okay, well, if I didn't notice that we're in the oversold, you could have been aggressively buying right here on the NQ. It's too late to do it now. I could have been aggressively buying right there. That would have been when the blue goes in by itself with a green background. You just buy the open of the next bar. Right? That's aggressive trading. You'd be way into profit right now. It's too late to get into it now. If you didn't get into it right at the open, it's too late now. Okay, it wasn't a regular conservative trade because it didn't come off the midpoint, but an aggressive trade you could do right there. With the aggressive trade, you don't need the midpoint stuff. All right. I know that we're going to get another trade here, guys. I would have done this aggressive long over here on the NQ if I didn't miss it got into the oversold right there. We'd have made profit on that too. But so far, we've only had 2 trades, and they're both winning trades to some degree. Over here on the NQ, on the gold now, we need that to pull back. The leg lengths are too long to be aggressive, right? You don't want to be aggressive when the leg lengths are so long like that. You have chop like this or like this on the ES. That's when you want to be aggressive. Chop like this was over here on the NQ. That's when you want to be aggressive, right? The aggressive stuff works well in chop, but when you have long leg lengths like this, you don't want to do it. We could have a conservative trade here on the NQ now. If the blue comes out of the oversold, it can't go down anymore. Now it's gone down too far. Now it's not going to be a trade there either. There's a possibility for another trade here on the Russell, but I think that's gone down too far now too. It can't go down any more than it currently is. Okay, the reason it can't go down is because from right here, the up close is going to be right here at the midpoint. If it goes down any more, then the up close would be below the midpoint. You don't want to take those trades. Okay. But we ran out of time anyway, guys. All right, so let me do this. If you have not taken a free trial, let's go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on the purple button. Click on the purple button. Once you click that, you'll be sent to this registration page. All we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the bottom, make sure you give us a TradingView login ID so we can get your indicators indicating for you. Okay, hit the register, and we'll know. And we'll let you know everything you need to know to get into the room in the morning. The Russell did finally give that trade. Here it is right here. Okay. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up and send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne is ready. Thank you, Dwayne.
Okie doke. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $1,200 with 10 contracts on.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck with all the stuff you got to do.
Thanks.
All right, guys. We are going to just dive right into our daily devotional. Starting a new topic this week. Chasing carrots. The endless pursuit of more. How many times in your life have you said, man, if I just had this, whatever it was, and all would be good with the world. And then as soon as you got that, you realized you need just a little bit more. Famous quote, how much money is enough? The answer, just a little bit more. Our scripture for today, Ecclesiastes 1:14 from the NIV version. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, chasing after the wind. That was written by Solomon back in the day. Now, the idea of chasing carrots comes from the carrot and stick metaphor, first written about in the mid-1800s. Imagine a cartoon drawing of a donkey with a carrot dangling just out of reach. The rider holds the carrot on a long stick and uses it to motivate the donkey to race. For the donkey, the reward is always just one more step away. Do you ever feel like the donkey? Long before the 1800s, King Solomon lamented the futile pursuits in life as nothing more than chasing after the wind. Have you ever tried to catch the wind? It's always just one step away. The tricky thing about just one more step is that there's always just one more step. Just a few more years in this job, or once you graduate, or as soon as you get married, when the kids are older, when your faith is stronger, when you can afford the next thing that promises happiness, then you find yourself with just one more step. There's a better way to live. You can step off the performance treadmill. There's so much more to life than bigger and better. Jesus addressed this frenzied quest for more in Matthew 6. As you read Jesus' words, try this. Take a deep breath and empty your mind of your concerns. Imagine you're there as he's teaching. What are you sitting on? How does the air smell? How does his voice sound? What else do you hear? What do you see? What is unraveling inside of you at the sound of his voice? After you're done reading the scripture, Matthew 6:19 through 34. Jot that down. Matthew 6:19 through 34. It really speaks to what we're talking about here. Once you've read the scripture, there's two questions to consider. Wasn't it nice to slow down and be around Jesus? And question number two, how can I make more room for Jesus in my life? Pray and ask God to slow you down enough to hear from him throughout the entire day. Heavenly Father, we've seen that all pursuits without you are like chasing the wind, empty and fleeting. Teach us to fix our hearts on what is eternal, to seek your will above our own, and to find true purpose and peace in you alone. Let our lives be filled with meaning, anchored in your truth, not just chasing another carrot. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us today. Let's take a look at the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow's up 479 points, a little over 1%. NASDAQ's up 365, 1.75%. S&P 500 is up 81. That's a little over 1.25%. And the Russell 2000 up 32 points, just over 1.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 508 points, 1.25%. Shanghai rose 23. The Hang Seng gained 225, which is almost 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 59, the DAX up 331, almost 1.5%. The CAC up 85, almost 1.25%. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. So far, it's a big green Radio Monday here in the US of A. All four of the major indices the same color, the way we like it. We don't care if they're all red or all green. It's just when they're all the same color, you have better follow through on your trades, especially if you're trading futures. Senators begin their August recess this week without a deal to confirm nominees to dozens of government positions. Republicans said they will pursue rule changes in September, enabling them to speed up the process. I mean, this is ridiculous. Here we are at the August recess, and we've failed to confirm dozens of nominees. Now, is that accidental? Something happened we don't know about? No, we know exactly what it is. At issue was the approach to confirming lower-level appointees like assistant secretaries. Democrats this year required roll call votes on almost all nominees. Unheard of. A process that can take days. And the first known time a minority party has refused to fast-track any confirmations. The decision continues a years-long trend. Confirmations took an average of 192 days in the Biden administration, up from 69 days in the Reagan administration. Democrats had agreed to fast-track some confirmations in exchange for restoring foreign aid and science research funding, but the deal fell through. Before breaking for recess, the Senate confirmed several nominees, including former New York judge and Fox News host Jeanine Pirro for the U.S. Attorney for D.C. EV maker Tesla is liable for $243 million in damages after a jury found Friday that the company's driver assistance technology was partly responsible for a fatal 2019 crash. Legal experts say the judgment, likely to be appealed, may set a significant precedent in cases involving self-driving technology. Now, most of you are old enough to remember presidential fitness test. It's coming back after a 12-year hiatus. President Trump signing an executive order to restore and revamp the program late last week. We have the most obese children in the world, and we have the lowest test scores, some of the lowest test scores in the world. The test has its roots in the 1950s when the so-called father of sports medicine, Dr. Hans Kraus, co-authored a study finding American kids were 49.2% weaker than European counterparts on a series of physical fitness tests. For decades, public school students were regularly tested on drills like a timed 1-mile run, push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. Top scorers received the Presidential Physical Fitness Award. There were no participation trophies handed out. Then President Barack Obama phased out the system in the 2012-13 academic year, replacing it with a less competitive opt-in system testing a student's fitness over time. Trump says he will reinstate the standardized approach following a May report highlighting concerns about children's physical inactivity. We didn't have iPhones and iPads and all that stuff back when we were kids. We were happy to get outside and do something. President Trump said today he would be substantially raising tariffs on India as he presses the nation over its purchases of Russian oil, effectively accusing the nation of subsidizing Russia's war in Ukraine. India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it on the open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Trump has trained his ire on both India and China over its purchases of Russian oil. China called the demand a key hurdle in trade talks, while India hasn't committed to stopping purchases and is urging citizens to support local goods. India is facing 25% tariffs on its exports to the U.S. under plans Trump moved into action last week. Well, we'll see whether they come to the table or not now. And who hasn't seen the American Eagle Outfitters blue jean ad? They trade under the symbol AEO. They're up almost 20% on the session today. Shares surged after U.S. President Donald Trump came out in support of the somehow controversial ad from the company. Oh, this is so silly. The spot with the actress Sydney Sweeney is the hottest ad out there, Trump said in a social media post. He added that American Eagle jeans are flying off the shelf. Trump deleted an earlier post in which he misspelled the actress's first name. Oops. Stock jumped as much as 16%, the biggest gain intraday since May 12th. Through last week's close, the shares had declined 36% this year. The ad, I know you've seen it. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Now, when Beyonce did an almost identical ad, nobody said a word. It was just another ad for blue jeans. But, well, if you know who Sydney Sweeney is, you know that there's one big difference between her and Beyonce. If you don't know, Google it. Tesla's board approved a $30 billion alternative compensation plan for its billionaire CEO, Elon Musk, as the company and Musk continue a court battle to reinstate his $58 billion pay award, which a Delaware judge struck down. The company announced the new plan in a Securities and Exchange Commission filing today. emphasizing its goal to incentivize Musk to focus on Tesla. The new accord must be approved by Tesla shareholders. It would act as an alternative method to pay Musk in the event that his original pay deal, first reached in 2018, is ultimately struck down in court. So far, Musk has not been paid under the original deal. And President Trump said he will announce a new Federal Reserve governor and a new jobs data statistician in the coming days, two appointments that may shape his economic agenda amid anxiety over the trajectory of global growth. Trump made the comments to reporters Sunday on his way back to the White House from a weekend in Bedminster, New Jersey. He's faced criticism for his relentless attacks on the Fed. Why? You're paying more for your cars, you're paying more for your houses, you're paying more for everything that you have to finance than you should. So why shouldn't he relentlessly attack the Fed? And those job numbers, which were a joke on Friday, well, she should be looking for another job. For the Fed, the president said he has a couple of people in mind for the role that opened up after Adriana Kugler announced Friday that she would vacate her Board of Governors seat, which wasn't due to expire until January. Her exit handed Trump a sooner-than-anticipated opportunity to appoint a governor who more closely aligns with his preference for lower interest rates. I've been saying it for years. You don't heal a fragile economy with higher interest rates. It just doesn't work. But here we are. All right. On the home front, what do we got? Logic 247, our 24/7 around the clock Emini alert service. Here, let's take a peek at where we ended up last week. All right, last week, week 365, we issued a total of 17 alerts. 17 never triggered, so that gave us 53 actionable alerts, of which 2 or 4% would have been stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process that we teach all of our passport holders. Now this week, which is just getting started, we're in week 366. Logic 247 is our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, and silver. Over the last 366 weeks, we've issued over 20,200 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Valerie did the recap this morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued 14 alerts. At the time she did the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 10. That gave us 4 actionable alerts. So far, nothing stopped out, but the week is young. So last week, week 365, we ended up with 2 stop outs, 4%. That's uncommonly good. The average over the last 366 weeks has been 20% or less, really closer to 12%, but I got so used to saying 20% or less, that's just what I'll keep saying, I guess. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then quite often additional targets, and then a final trade to target. If it's a long alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone above. And if it's a short alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone below. The real purpose of the alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you need to be able to read a chart. When you look at a chart, there's no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. So you're literally learning a new language. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Long before we had Logic 247, we had the concierge trade alerts, and they're different. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're usually published 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. So the new week did not start this morning at 9:30 when Wall Street opened. The new week started last night. The Monday session began Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. 5 minutes before the open, all of our members, and even trial members, had all of these targets. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So as we go through the individual markets, just keep in mind that all of our traders and trial members had the targets 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay. All right, now we can go to the chart. Charts. We'll start where we always do. The daily chart of the bellwether. Okay. This is the all-time historic high you're looking at right here. Now it says 64.68, but I think the number is actually 64.68.5. Yep. Yeah, so that line's 2 ticks off. 64.68.5 is the all-time historic high. When climbing has turned to red and falling. Thursday, Friday, we had quite a sell-off. We hit this area where we expected there to be potential support. We even spiked it just a little bit. We were looking at the low of July 16th as potential support, and we spiked it by just a little bit. And then we came to rest Friday afternoon. We came off the low of the day and came to rest right on top of the 50% fib extension. And then we opened last night and we ran all the way up to the daily BBC, the 62% fib extension, and the black step line. That's what I call resistance times 3. When I posted the chart this morning in the discussion group, it's exactly what I called it. See, when price moves up to the BBC, we expect that to be resistance till proven otherwise. And of course, the 62% fib extension, we expect that to be resistance till proven otherwise. When the black step line gets directly above price, like it did Friday and today, we expect that to be resistance. So it looks like we've overcome everything but the black step line so far. How we close today will probably set the tone for the week. If we close where we are right now, if we don't put in any new highs in on the day, and we may, with red and falling overhead, tomorrow could be a turnaround Tuesday. We'll see. The green line is called the BBC because it stands for Bull Bear Cross. When price crosses below the green line, like it did February 21st, closes below it, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price closes above the green line, then we're bullish and expect higher prices. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. And as you can see, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. But we know eventually it will trade through, as it did on April 24th. And then our first retracement, the pullback held, and the pullback held. And then the pullback held, and the pullback held. And then we traded through. So again, 3 important dates. Traded through the BBC and closed February 21st. Then we traded through the BBC and closed above it on April 24th. So now we've closed below it, as we did Friday, at an area where we would expect support. So we've almost done 100% retracement of Friday's sell-off. Red and falling overhead. That's a little ominous. We'll see how we close today. See, we're above the BBC, but closing above it and then opening above it. That would sort of negate this right here. So we'll be patient and see what happens. The daily chart is important because institutional traders, the ones who actually move price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. It has everything to do with account size. I encourage you to spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever it is you trade, stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you go to your smaller time frame and start trading. Number one, it gives you a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets. And there have been pullbacks along the way, but pretty much it's been upward and onward till we hit this area, resistance times 3. And we kind of been stuck there for a bit. So we'll see if the institutional buyers are serious enough to close us above the step line. Now, if they do, it's not over. We still got to get above red and falling. So you get a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets that move price. So you can trade with the flow or against the flow, whatever floats your boat. But you're also able to identify days, weeks, months ahead of time where the market is most likely to find potential support. As we did last week when we were talking about this low right here. We thought there would be support, and there was. Okay. Now if we continue to drop, we can easily look left and find other areas of potential support. You've got the fib extensions, but the big number, the one you really should be focused on, is the 24% fib retracement from the low put in on April 7th to the all-time historic high put in July 31st. The shallowest possible fib retracement would be right here at 60.93. Now that's quite a drop, but that's also a very shallow retracement. What I think this market needs to keep it healthy is a deeper retracement down to the 38, possibly even the 50. Everything looks very bullish and rosy today. We'll see how it looks tomorrow. All alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The vertical lines separate today, Monday. Here's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones, which are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones for our members every Monday for the last 15 and a half years. These are last week zones. All alerts that go out, both Logic and Concierge, on Sunday night are based on the previous week's zones, because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones, because any alerts I put out today will, of course, be based on this week's zones. Now, on the ES, you can see the sell-off that began. Now, this is today, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Thursday, we had a bearish cross. That's where the red line gets below the green line. We had a leg and a retracement that failed to come all the way back to the BBC. Another leg, the pullback held. And then during Friday's live afternoon broadcast, I drew in this little 10-point window of opportunity. We partially filled it, and then we completely filled it. And now we had a bullish cross. This was the opening candle last night, right here. 6 p.m. Eastern. It was 5 minutes before the open. These targets were published, and the logic alerts. Most of those were published in the first 30 minutes, I think. So we had a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. So hopefully you can see what I mean about the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Okay. This bearish cross up here, it's really important, because when you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move like this, the first time price revisits that area, roughly 64.47, which happened to be one of last week's weekly trading zones, that area should be very good resistance the first time up. And if price starts to drop, we have a bullish cross right here. That's when the blue line gets above the green line. Price starts to drop. That area right there, roughly 62.78, should be good support, at least the first time down. Right now, we're consolidating at last week's lowest weekly trading zone. We closed below the lowest zone on a number of markets last week on the indices. Right now, you can see how the black step line on this move up was on the left side of blue and climbing. See how they're parallel all the way up? But now something's changed. As we consolidated sideways, look what's happened to the step line. It's crossing to the right side of blue and climbing. So everyone can agree that black line is on the left side of the blue line. Well, when the black line gets on the right side of the blue line, that indicates that the market will most likely attempt to retrace back to the BBC. And it becomes a question of, will it hold or will it trade through? And currently the 30-minute BBC is sitting at 63.21. All alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes, just the time frame I chose years ago. I look at the daily, then I look at the 30-minute, and then I execute on the smaller time frame on the range chart. But the 30-minute is really my roadmap. Okay? As long as price is below the BBC, the only alerts I put out in Logic 247, where there's over 20,200 alerts currently, I only put out short alerts. When price is above the BBC, long alerts. So bearish below the VVC, bullish above. Now, a pullback to the VVC, that would be a counter trend trade. All the alerts in the Logic 247 channel, all 20,200 plus, every one of them is a trend trade as defined by the 30-minute chart. Lately, I've actually been putting out, trying to teach you to look into the future, okay? This is what's most likely to happen, but what if it swings the other way? So you can prepare yourself for whatever's going to happen. If price continues to climb, you should expect resistance right here, where the step line got below blue and climbing, turning it into red and falling. That is an important price, important area, 63.62. What if price pulls back to the VBC and trades through it? Well, you should expect potential support right there. Then again there. And then again there. Bullish cross. So you don't have to try to worry yourself with, is the market going to go up or is it going to go down? Why not have a plan of action for whatever it does? Okay, if it goes up, I'm going to do this. If it goes down, I'm going to do this. See, that removes the guesswork. Because everybody's always trying to guess. You know, is the market going up or is it going down? If you have a plan of action for either direction, then you don't have to guess. You just lay out your plan of action, as we did Friday live on the afternoon broadcast when we drew in this window of opportunity. And then you wait for price to get there. Price was already bouncing when we drew that in, and then price came down to fill it. So we're still consolidating. The markets have gotten very quiet. We had a big 30-minute opening candle this morning. First 30 minutes of Wall Street, we opened at 63.03 and hit a high of 63.39. Then we hit that weekly zone. So we may be running out of steam here. Might go just a little bit higher. Maybe 63.53. And I think we see the retracement, which again would be a counter trend trade. There's nothing wrong with counter trend trading. The reason I only put trend trades in the Logic 247 channel, and when I do the plan in both ways, let's say we're above the BBC, but I see a nice short opportunity if the market were to fail. Okay. By the time price gets to that alert or to that window of opportunity, that means price is going to be below the BBC. I just don't trade against the trend of the 30-minute chart. Here's the Dow. We drew in a window of opportunity live on Friday, and we filled it. We filled it once, and that was it. This was the opening candle last night. We got above the BBC. We had a leg, a retracement, the pullback hill. And then we got almost all the way to the long target. What was that high right there? 20. So we were about 20 points shy of it. But the market found resistance there. You got to trade what's in front of you. When the market finds resistance, it will go look for support. Pull back holes more often than not. That led us into the Wall Street Open. We had a big green candle. Took us all the way up to the weekly zone from last week. That was last week's lowest weekly zone. Consolidated sideways. Now, the next spot, if we continue higher, this area right here. What's this high? I would call it 44. What's this high? Yeah, 44,300 should be potentially good resistance. If we take out 44,300, then we could see higher prices. Up to here, potentially up to here. But the step line is trying to cross balloon and climbing. If it does, expect price to retrace. That doesn't mean that the bull move is over. But as you can see, price rarely travels in a straight line. Leg retracement, leg retracement, leg. That step line crosses, like it did here, we'll get that retracement. The Russell. This is where we opened last night, below the BBC. We didn't stay there long. We got above, and the pullback held, and it held, and it held. Then we hit last week's lowest weekly zone. We've spiked it. We haven't made it to the long target. Long target is based off this area right here. The Russell was up pretty substantially from Friday's close. The NQ, here's where we opened last night. Now, when red and falling gets directly below price, it becomes potential support, because it could be on its way to becoming blue and climbing, which is bullish. One is bearish, one is bullish. So we get above the BBC and we consolidate for quite a few hours. Then we hit the zone, the lowest zone from last week, consolidate there for hours. And then off the 9:30 open on Wall Street, we powered right through that long target, and we're now consolidating at last week's weekly trading zone, 23,282/83. The step line is already crossed. But see how it's starting to point up? It's a little unusual. As you can see, this zone just so happens to be right at this spot right here where we would expect resistance just based on market structure. Then up at 327, then up around 340. So price needs to get through this area, okay? And as you can see, it's trying. It's tried once, tried twice, tried 3 times. Chances are we could be back to the BBC by the end of this broadcast. Crude oil. We did have a gap lower open on crude last night. We hit the short target in the opening candle. Then we bounced, consolidated at the zone. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of 3 things happens. 70% of the time will be this, consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when price slices through a weekly trading zone on the 30-minute chart like it's not even there. When that happens, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice as it did here. We didn't quite make it all the way back to the zone. That high was 67, so we missed it by 3 ticks. But that's typically what you look for on a slice. We continued down to the short target again for the second time. Then we found support for an hour and a half roughly. And then we got down, what was the low? 65.46. Last week's zone here was 65.40/45. The low is 46. We missed it by 1 tick. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When it rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Now, this is the 1030 candle. Okay. Wall Street open. Not a lot happened there compared to the indices. But it was setting the stage as red and falling got directly below price. See how it became support? And then that took us all the way up to, we didn't make it all the way to the bearish cross. Now we would expect that area to be good resistance. We hit a brick wall right there. Price has now come back down through the BBC. We've gotten below blue and climbing. We got a zone from last week here at 6610/15. That could be good support. We make it through that zone, then right here where red turned to blue, call it 6560. Yeah, potentially good support. Then of course the zone below. Gold. This is the open last night. We pulled back to the VBC. The pullback held. So we got a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. And then we hit the long target, traded through it. Step line has crossed. Blue and climbing. So we should see a retracement back to the VBC. Then the question becomes, is it going to hold or not? You got to be patient and find out. And it's over. We did draw in this window of opportunity on Friday during this live broadcast, and we filled it. And we filled it again overnight last night. So the opening candle got us down almost to the bullish cross, but we didn't quite make it. The low was 76, so we missed it by 4 pennies. It only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day with silver. This window was 37.16. So that's about a $350 per contract window of opportunity. So there's the leg, there's the retracement, pull back held, leg and retracement, pull back held, leg, and now we're getting another retracement. See the step line cross blue and climbing, so we're headed for the VBC. Now this pullback held and this pullback held. Now the question is, will this pullback hold? Trade through it, you got potential support at last week's zone. And right here, 1, 2, 3, low of 4 candles right there. Which just so happens to be the bottom of that window that we drew on Friday. So there's the daily. On the ES, 30 minutes, still trying to climb. Okay. Seems to have kind of run out of steam. What was this high over here? $53.25. What's our high so far? 52. This just might be the high of the day. We'll know at the end of the day. So again, that led to a powerful move to the downside. That led to a powerful move to the upside. But this time we're fighting it. So watch the close today. and potentially be prepared for a turnaround Tuesday. As I said earlier, to become a member, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Let us know. If you want to become a member, Valerie will send you all the information you need to get started. As a passport holder, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. Now, that's an interactive environment. As Michael is taking off trades, he's explaining every move he makes, every trade he takes, and the reason why. It's all rules-based trading. So all you have to do is learn the rules and then follow the rules. And the rules don't change. They're carved in stone. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. Think about it. That's a huge washout rate. All for lack of someone to show you how to do the job. Along with 2 hours of group training every trading day, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring. Just have to ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Every Monday morning, you get the weekly trading zones for the week at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. It gives you plenty of time to get them on your charts before Wall Street wakes up for the week. Thursday afternoon, you get an invitation to attend the Members Only Workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. Telegram is really the heartbeat of our community. If you sign up for the trial, as Michael showed you, the first thing you should do is get Telegram installed if you don't already have it installed. That's where you'll get the alerts. That's where you'll get the weekly zones. That's where you'll be able to chat with our traders. There's a number of public channels, a number of private channels. Once you become a passport holder, you've got access to everything. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Just send the email to support@cfrn.net and ask to become a member. Okay, good word for the day. Honor others and God will honor you. Romans 12:10. Be kindly affectionate to one another. In honor, giving preference to one another. One of the real tests of character and maturity is how you react to someone else's success. That's particularly so when they succeed in an area where you failed or in which you're frustrated over not having achieved greater success. F.B. Meyer, a well-known author and minister in England, once shared the following experience with a few of his friends. It was easy to pray for the success of G. Campbell Morgan when he was in America. But when he came back to England and took a church near to mine, it was something different. The old Adam in me was inclined to jealousy. But I got my heel upon his head, and whether I felt right toward my friend, I determined to act right. My church gave a reception for him, and I acknowledged that if it was not necessary for me to preach Sunday evenings, I would dearly love to go and hear him myself. Well, that made me feel right toward him. But just see how the dear Lord helped me out of my difficulty. There was Charles Spurgeon preaching wonderfully on one side of me, and G. Campbell Morgan on the other. Both were so popular and drew such crowds that our church caught the overflow, and we had all we could accommodate. No matter how well you do something, someone else will come along and do it better. So here's your options. Compare yourself to them, compete with them, criticize them, compliment, and cooperate with them. The latter is what Paul meant when he wrote in Romans 12:10. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love, in honor, giving preference to one another. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.